This is TWiT.
AI has won in court. We'll stick with court for a few more stories. Artists have lost the first round of the copyright infringement case against AI art generators. This happened at the end of the month. A federal judge advanced an infringement claim against Stability AI, but dismissed the rest of the lawsuit. He said, you can't sue Midjourney or Deviant Art. Among the issues, whether the AI systems they run on actually contain copyrighted images, and if the artist can prove it, can substantiate infringement in the absence of identical material, right? If you didn't create Picasso's Guernica pixel for pixel, can you prove that Guernica exists in the AI's corpus? Claims against the companies for infringement, right of publicity, unfair competition, breach of contract dismissed. The claim for direct infringement against Stability AI was allowed to proceed based on allegations the company used copyrighted images without permission. So there's two issues. One, if you're stealing images, they're copyrighted images and you're stealing them, versus if you're going through the internet and looking for open images, uncopyrighted images. The suit maintains that training the Stability AI model does not include wholesale copying of works, but rather involves development of parameters, lines, colors, shades, and other attributes associated with subjects and concepts from those works that collectively define what things look like. I'm not sure what this all means. This is the Hollywood Reporter talking about it. I don't know if that's a clear win for, to be honest, for AI. I think in the long run,
it's better than a clear loss.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
right.
And it is it drives home the intractable nature of this whole conflict, because you have, if you're a physical artist and you're influenced by another artist, which 100% of artists are,
yes,
then is that copyright infringement? And if yes, software does it, then what's the difference? And all, et cetera, et cetera. And again, how do you track down a one-for-one, here's a copy, when you're talking about vagaries like style and shades of color and things like that?
Can't copyright that.
No.
Because every artist is building their style on top of styles they've seen before.
And I mean, in fact, I think it's really problematic if we go down that line and we say, if anybody were to draw anything inspired by or in the style of, which happens all the time, then there's a lot of art that would be, I think most rational people would consider to be fair use, would go away, right? And that's, so.
I remember seeing a amazing exhibition of Picasso's early sketches, which are all copies of well-known paintings and art. I mean, that's Toulouse-Lautrec, baby. But how does Picasso become Picasso? By copying other
by learning.
People.
I mean, that's what we all do.
And then developing his own style.
Correct.
But I'd like to push back on that a little bit.
Okay.
Because like artists will take specific art. They don't take all of the corpus of all art.
Sure they do.
Art. No,
that's Benito Gonzalez talking our TD. But wait, no. Don't you think Picasso wandered through the Louvre and looked at every single painting and absorbed it? Well, but he absorbed what he was seeing, right?
Yes, but he still had, he was still selecting.
Okay, but why should that matter? I mean, I understand that
because a person can't look at can't read every book in existence.
Well, of course, obviously, and that is why we can do more things more quickly with AI. But the principle, I think, is the same. That you can read that we are taking things from learning, whether it's from reading styles or looking at artwork or listening
every
to
great
music.
writer reads like crazy.
Yes,
there's no great writer who hasn't read 1 million books.
I mean, and I guess
and also.
To me, I understand what you're saying, but to me, it feels like if the only thing we're separating here is the amount of scale, then that just fundamentally we're still talking about the same thing. So whether it's one piece of art or 1 billion, I don't think the fundamental thing matters personally. But that's me.
Right, and to Jerome Lanier's point about AI being a massive collaboration at scale, even though nobody can read every book. You basically, I mean, Picasso is being influenced by all these artists who themselves were influenced by a bunch of artists.
And all the way down.
Were influenced and so on. And that starts to approach what generative AI does. And The Verge actually had a great list of reasons from different companies, because all the different companies have different reasons why they should not have to pay for copyrighted content. So Google says that it's like reading a book. Anthropic says that the current law is sufficient for protecting copyrighted works. Adobe says addresses the case of Sega versus Accolade, where intermediate copying was deemed fair use. Andreessen Horowitz says that investment in AI technologies based on the current copyright law, that's already happening. Hugging Face says that training on copyrighted material is generally fair use, and so on and so on. It's a great article,
this is
actually.
Wes Davis writing in the Verge. Now, I think his point is more against these companies.
Yes, it is. But I still think
he says AI companies have all kinds of arguments against paying for copyrighted content.
Yes. Right.
Meta says copyright holders, you wouldn't get much money anyway.
Yeah.
Which is true.
Really interesting. Yeah. It is interesting to think about, though. And like, a lot of these companies are still trying to stop it from happening in one way or another. Like my photos that I take on my phone that are up to Adobe standards, I upload to Adobe stock. And now every single time I upload, it says, make sure if it's AI, follow these rules. And it's like, they're really trying to like kind of avoid, like one of their things is saying like, don't have the artist name in it. If you're trying to like copy an artist, that shouldn't be in there. But it's really interesting, like, how even while these companies want to train models, they still want to have their own limits on the output, which is really interesting. But I struggle with this too, because it's like, you know, when like knowing exactly how and when it crosses the line is hard. And copyright and trademarks have always been, I think, to a degree, a very blunt tool for art in general. And I'm not sure how that evolves going forward, because we're not going to just stop AI from like learning people's styles.
To bring back Judge Alsop, that was his decision. Was that you can't copyright an API.
Right.
And thank goodness he decided that, because otherwise you've got real problems. If I can't reverse engineer your API so that I can make something compatible, that's going to really shut down a lot of software development.
And I think that's what my biggest fear is for a lot of people who want to take this to the immediate, well, of course they should have to pay, and all of this is copyright and whatnot, is that for the last 20 some odd years we've been fighting to try to loosen and make more clear the rules around fair use, because I think that most people, especially small creators, understand why transforming content and being able to remix content is an important thing to do. This to me feels like, and even though I understand why some artists are very much pushing back against this thing, it feels like very much a step back against that, because the people who I genuinely think will be hurt the most are not the big artists and the big places who have money to fight these things, but are small people who might eventually okay, well, what happens if you want to use these tools in a creative way, but now you're being told that you are violating some sort of copyright and that you can't create this? That to me seems much more harmful than the fact that, yes, I can tell an image generator to create something in the style of this work, which is, let's be completely honest, right now, I know this will change, but right now will not be perfect. We'll have many discrepancies and things that will require edits or other changes, which to me means that you're further editing and building on top of these things. I think that we lose out when we're pushing against these ideas of opening things up to being transformed, just because we don't like the people who are doing it.
Hey there, I'm Micah Sargent from TWiT, and you may be asking a question. What in the world do you do if you want to thank that hard-working team of yours? Well, why not gift them a Club TWiT corporate subscription? Oh, and here's a secret. You'll be benefiting yourself too, because you will be able to keep your team informed and entertained with podcasts covering the latest in tech, so they'll always stay up to date. With a Club TWiT subscription, they're going to get access to all of our podcasts ad-free. They'll get access to the members-only Discord server where they can chat with fellow Club TWiT members and all of us here at TWiT, and exclusive shows like Hands on Mac, Hands on Windows, and the Untitled Linux Show. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit and look for corporate plans for complete details.